Hello coders, I'm back again with a quick bonus stream before work. Sorted the next two problems that we were talking about remarkably simply, so hopefully I can relay that right away. Should have done it live, it was that easy. I don't think I went wrong at all privately, so we'll see if we can do it again. Let's get stuck in. Righty, so Spiky. In case this is the first time watching, I'll quickly compile. Oh, firstly, before I even do that, I found a way I should be clicking open folder. Now I have it all in this folder view. So much better. I do have a working copy again, so we're all good in that respect. What I did here was something called a mask, but I'm not going to use that. I'm going to keep that for a later date. So we've at the moment only got that sprite there. Now in order to change what we want to, I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Let's save everything, compile it. You see it opens in the right folder now as well, that's so good. Okay, so it looks cool now, but as you can see, when you go near to an edge, you know, where there's ink, it removes that when we draw the sprite. So that was the first thing I wanted to sort out, and that was remarkably simple. Where we draw the player, which is not in this, is it? It's in sprite tools. All we want to do is where we I've found out what I was doing to draw the player. This is how I did it, and I was using this routine here. And what I decided to do is only do this for the player right now, just to make it straightforward. So draw sprite 1624. Copy all that. Copy it. Go right to the top. Paste it in again, but call it draw player 1624. And then here we're going to be just doing draw player for now. In a minute I'll get to animation as well. We've sort of sorted that out, and we'll change that a bit. So this is our draw player routine. All we actually want to do is remarkably simple. Is where it's we load A with the sprite data there, the bitmap. I'll find and replace that. It's easier. Oh, make sure before you do that you copy the right, you know, you've selected just that routine. Scroll to the top. So load A with BC. We still want load A with BC. But then we just want D is available right now for us to use. So load D with the existing byte of sprite data in that cell or in that line. in the line of the cell to be precise. Or D. So that just OR's here with a force in A, and that's all we had to do. Like I say, it's not going to be too long a video because I've got work shortly, but this should work for us. And as you can see, it does. I mean, it gives us some other problems. There's a way of improving this further I've read about, but this is actually pretty goddamn decent now. That's perfect, isn't it? I'm happy with that for 2 minutes work. So that was the first problem solved, and I thought that could have been a whole few hours for me, but no, it was instant. Should have done it live. The next problem is one where there's millions of ways to fix it. And this is how I've come up with on my first iteration of trying to fix the problem. The reason I've come up with it like this is because there is some thought in the madness. I want to, at the moment, this animation, it only goes in a direction, okay? So if you go left, you just look left. There's no actual animation yet. So I've made it so that I can just add an offset to that, and I'm not going to use too many registers. So this is like kind of hard coded, this part, but then I'm going to use a register to iterate through the frames so we can have multiple frames basically. But what I need is game values, because the first thing I want to do is show some more convenience values I'd put in as constants. Right, so we don't need to remember that anymore. The next thing we need is I drew some more rudimental sprites as placeholders. Of course, they don't look good right now. I don't intend them to, just 2 minutes to draw them. I've actually given them their own label, each one. Like I said to you, I'm going to point straight at the label, but then when there's multiple frames, we'll be able to iterate through them in our usual way without having to use loads of registers. So I've renamed it to up. That'll be our default stance. And there's 4 of them now. As I say, I've also included those convenience constants. And then instead of just drawing the player, I've created like a routine with a bunch of labels in it, basically, called draw player. Oh, I haven't created that yet. Of course, we just created the constants to say what direction we're going in, but I haven't actually put a value for it in the player. Well, in fact, let's use the constant. Look. So we'll get the player direction, compare it to up. If it is up, we'll jump to draw player up, which we're going to make in a minute. And in fact, I'm going to make all them labels now so I don't have to type them twice. Also, we'll have this at the end where they can all jump to. and that will finally return out of the whole routine. So if it's up, we jump to there. Bit repetitive, but obviously it's pretty straightforward code and works well as far as I can tell. That's actually it. And then we can pretty much grab this, change that to a call to this draw player routine instead. That of course needs to be up now because there's no player sprite, just that. And then the only thing we want to add is jump to the end. So like I say, something that I was sort of dreading doing live. Hello Moz, nice to see you mate. Just seen your message there. I've got it now, so I do at least have the chat box on screen, but I've still got to look. It's right over there to see it, so I don't always see it. I need a little alert. Ding. There've been too many of them though. Hopefully one day, or even sometimes now. But yeah, very straightforward stuff here, but I believe it's going to work for us. And this would be so easy just to have add a little bit to iterate when we have certain frames now. IX is free, for example. I think that'll do us. I might try and add some frames of animation, seeing as it's been so quick to get this done, if this does work. Oh, it hasn't worked. I've forgotten something. Oh, of course, we've got to change the player direction, which is done in this very same file where we do try and move. I just want it to turn, even if we are like at the edge of the screen or about to collide. So the very first thing I'm going to do is change the direction. Forgot the quickest way I did it. I could look it up, but there's a quick way of doing this. Don't know why my brain can't think of it. Let's look it up. Oh yeah. Load A left. Load player direction. A. Simples. So if you think ahead with your code, like I've managed to on this occasion, it just works sweet as. And it should go forward like that in terms of the frames. I'll just add an offset for the second frame and just have 2 frames of animation. Maybe even have 3. It doesn't really hurt, I doubt. Just drawing it in the first place is a bit of a pain. That should work now. Yeah. Hey, get him go. That kid. Getting all the hearts. So obviously we'll need a bum off. Where he bums them normally in the real game. We'll have to do the bum shuffle. Attack. Let's call it the attack. Hello Fractal mate, I've just seen messages. Jump is something I still haven't managed to implement properly, to be honest. That'll be one of my next challenges. Not in this game, because it doesn't have a jump, but it has an attack. So that's what I'll call it from now on, the attack animation. He has 2 different attack animations. One's like a shout, which would be really easy, so I'll probably start with that one. They're both about the same thing, to be honest. It's just a different state. I can just choose, just like I did with the direction there. Here, you know, I can just do it right now even. Right, state, walk equals 0, attack equals 1, shout equals 2, you know. And now I just have to think like that when I'd have to draw it. The shout, interesting enough, will be its own sprite, because there's no point using up part of that sprite space. May as well just have the shout come out here. Another hole, 1 tile I reckon, maybe 2 actually. But I'm not going to do that right now, because that'll probably be 10 minutes of just me drawing and fiddling around with bits. I'd rather do that off air. Not really much else to do, yeah. This was just a quick one. Yeah, no worries, no worries. But I think that's going to be pretty straightforward. And for example, I mean, I probably could quickly draw that now. For the walking, you say you want 2 frames instead of, you obviously don't want 1. Where is it? So the way I'm going to do that would be, just before I call a draw player, I just want to increment B, C somehow, which isn't actually possible. You can't just do add BC 32, but I could maybe push that into IX for a minute and do it that way. Or in fact, AF maybe. Could try it right now. Oh bugger, I'd have to draw him again because I didn't save him. Wonder if I could just change something on here, like without drawing it. So if I just change the arms, for example. Get rid of them arms. But yeah, that would be easy enough. We'll just get rid of the arms. Just to sort of demonstrate what it will look like when we've got proper animation frames in there. So I'm only dealing with right now. Of course, I need some way of recording what frame I'm on right now. I've done states there, but I'm always in walk. I haven't bothered doing anything with this yet, but we'll need one for that as well. Alright, so he starts off in walk state. Player. I've forgotten what I'm actually implement. Oh, this is just the frame, innit? Anim frame. So he starts off on frame 0. Oh, thank you for the follow, man. We'll very much appreciate that. Very nice here. Player anim frame. Yeah, obviously starts off at 0. Now, I'm just trying to work out. It's not easy to do like a defined byte and then times it by a constant. But that's what we need to do. Unless I hard code them. Frame 1, frame 2. I've got it. I think this might work. I'm always prefixing it by a player because I'm always thinking now I'm going to add that teacher who walks around soon. So I'm going to have to make sure, try and make sure these are all called player for now. Player frame size equals 48. I know that already. That's how many bytes player's sprite is. So now, I did have it in my head, but now I can't remember. That's it. That's what I'm going to do. As long as our animation frames and our size of our sprite is less than 1 byte, which is 255. So in our case, it will work, but it's not very robust, this method that I'm thinking of. But if that was the case, which it is, we can, instead of using that 1 frame at a time, we could just increment that by that amount, and then we are actually on the right frame. So we don't need to, we can, that way we can come up with a little short routine here to do that, I think. So it's if we're on, I might need another one for frame. We also need a timer. dB, sorry. And then we can use a constant for the delay. Talking in frames. Let's go for 20 for now. 15. Now 20. I don't know if I'll manage to get this implemented before I go work. Time is slipping away from me. But I'll try. So if I just pretend the time is ticking away somewhere. And in frame. So if this is only going to work now for 2 frame animation. It's just a quick hack I'm doing. If it's not 0, I'm going to change it to 48. And if it is 0, I'm going to change it to 48. And if it's not 0, I'm going to change it to 0. And that's the timer that's going to do that. Yeah. So I'll start a new routine actually. Anim timer. Why not? It's gonna increment. Load A. Timer. Player anim timer. That's it. So that increments it. And then if it reaches delay, probably should have called that player frame delay, but I did. Player anim delay. There we go. I think I will be back on tonight, Moz. Yeah. It depends how I feel. I've been knackered after work recently, but I've been finishing after midnight, whereas sometimes normally I've been finishing at 10ish, so it's like hit me like a brick wall. But Oh, I see about that optimization fractal. Yeah, maybe that is a good idea if I really need to. But the thing is, I don't think constants actually use any data at all. They're just used by the compiler, I think. It's just the same as writing a number every time. Yeah, I think I will be back on tonight. Like I say, assuming I don't finish at stupid o'clock. And then when I get back, if I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, I wish it was like that, mate. But they're all foreigners and they don't care at all. But my job isn't that hard, luckily. Even when you are ill, you can just get on with it. But it's a bit of a pain. I always try and get off early. I really do, like almost every shift. They're all right people. Like, if I managed to get a decent enough YouTube channel, I could show them, and they would actually probably let me go early to do it. They're that sort of people. They are nice, but if I just want to go home early just for the sake of it, they don't let me. I think they get jealous because they're there from like 2 p.m. till like half 12, 1 a.m. every single day. So I feel a bit sorry for them. Anyway, so if this is more than or equal, then we want to actually do our switch. So jump NC, flip. I always use the word flip when I'm dealing with animation. That's another habit of mine. Next frame. In fact, I'm going to change that habit right now because flip also means like invert a sprite. Like it's looking the other way. So I'll just go skip to next frame. We'll put a return there because I think that might do. But oh, I've jumped. Wait there. I've jumped. So I don't need a return, in other words. But if it's not true, it's going to do something else. So now we've got to mess around with. This is a real cruddy sort of idea I've had here just off the top of my head to do it in 10 minutes. But if that is 0, make it 48. I forgot what it was called. I just looked at it. Frame and in frame. Play and in frame. Play 0. See, this is really hacky. There's definitely a better way. That's what I'm going to be focusing on tonight when I get home from work. This is just to try and demonstrate how it would work. But then we'll come up with a way of just actually iterating through the frames instead. It's hurting me to do this, to be honest. I'll do call Z set frame 48. Honestly, that's a temporary thing anyway. I'm going to delete it almost immediately. So. But the main thing about it is it tests to see does our anim frame thing, like idea, work in general. You can't just set that to 48, so I'll have to do load a frame size happens to be 48. Yep, that's why it's there. See, what you could do is say plus 32 there, or 48 I should say, if you had more frame. And there is a way of doing that. You know, that's probably how I'm going to end up doing it. I don't know, but this is just to flip between the 2 frames for now. So that's it. And then I'll do the same thing for 0. Just a minimal optimization there for no reason. Alright, so if it was 0, we call that. And if it was, well, I should just do if it's not 0. It doesn't even matter, honestly. We're going to change it all. Right, so it jumps to there. Only, oh yeah, only if it's true. If it's false. If not, it can return. Yeah. Skip to next frame. Do them and return. Okay. So we just call anim frame every time. Anim timer. Probably another bad name that, because it's like, it's not just the timer, it's changing the frame as well. I wanted a space there because I am going to delete all this later. Let's just hope it works. So we've achieved changing the current frame. Oh god. Just realised how that might not be useful to us actually. Oh, we also have to set it to 0. If it does that. That's definitely important. But that's not just the only thing. Damn, I need some way of adding to BC. I obviously did have I had a thought about it earlier and I can't remember what it was. We need to compare here that same frame thing. I'm trying to figure out now if I'm just doing it twice, but for the sake of it. It's not meant to be timer, it's meant to be frame. If it's 0, I'm trying now, all I'm pausing for now is just to try and avoid doing more labels. Maybe just do it. Oops. God, my keyboard. DP, draw player, DPR. 0. Sod it. Just do that for now. I am causing a mess here because I'm probably going to have to delete all this. Okay. It's alright, cack-handed way of doing it. Like I said, shouldn't have bothered really, but it might work. Right, so it's always going to jump to one or the other of them, and then that has the draw player and jump in both. Finally, I think that might work. Where it compiled, it was right I was dealing with, wasn't it? Oh, it did work. I saw something change there. I think I just need to change the timer. Perhaps we're doing less frames than I was calculating there. I was working on 50 frames per second delay. Let's put 5, so it's just going to be super speedy animated, hopefully. Yeah, it seems to not work when you immediately get into the game. That might be something you need to make sure it hangs till it's fully loaded. But it works. Oh, funny enough, when I'm holding right, it does it quicker than. Oh, now it does. Most odd. So he seems to speed up, and then when you let go of the key, slows down to where I was expecting it to be, and stays there. Well, it's a start anyway. But yeah, I haven't got long to get to work now, so wrap this one up. But we've looked at quite a lot there. I like how we've done these states. It's quite tidy. It got messy in this area, wherever it was. Where is it? I'm in the wrong one. That's why. Yeah, here. I mean, I wouldn't like to have to do that for like 5 or 6 frames of every state, but maybe it is doable. It's not too bad, to be fair. It's a start, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I better get going, but I'll leave that. I was quite hyped to show you that one before I forgot all about how I did it after work, and then it'd be a struggle. Now we can just get on with something else. Like, well, I mean, it's almost time, to be honest, where we add the collision to the door, which will take 2 minutes, and then let him get out of this scene, and we could have a main menu and a level 2. We could either do that, or we could finish this level by adding the enemies and the collectible things and the attack. So we've got loads and loads of options. Yeah, but thanks very much for watching, everyone. I hope you watch again. Check out my YouTube as well if you want to, meanwhile, and I'll be back, sometime around midnight, hopefully, or a bit before. See you then. Goodbye.